African American Legends highlights the accomplishments of blacks in areas as varied as politics, sports, aviation, media, and education. We will explore how African Americans have succeeded in areas where they had been previously excluded because of segregation, racism, and lack of opportunity. I am your host, Dr. Roscoe C. Brown, Jr., and joining me on today's program is Hal Jackson, legendary radio pioneer from WBLS FM radio here in New York. Hal, you are one of the pioneers, maybe the pioneer in black radio. You've done so much over the many, many years. First disc jockey, first owner of a professional team, first one to come to New York and start a major show. Tell us how you got started. How did you get into this business?
Well, you know, I used to write sports for the Afro-American newspaper in Washington, D.C. And I used to do the announcing for the Homestead Grays, the black baseball.
Yeah, and the black leagues. We've talked about them on the program.
All the whole thing. And finally, somebody was saying to me, you know, you should, instead of just being at Griffith Stadium doing the games, maybe you should be on the radio regularly. So I had a lot of sponsors then, C.C. Coley, National Premium Beer, all of them, because I did the extra things that they want, like make appearances and all. So I went to this radio station, WINX, owned by the Washington Post, in 1937, and I said, I want to talk to you about doing a disc jockey show, and you know, I can bring the sponsors, etc. And this guy, very tall, ruthless-looking cat, it was down 8th and I Northwest in Washington. And I remember him calling his staff in. It was about 5 o'clock in the evening. He said, I wanted you all to come in to really hear this and hear the nerve of this guy. He said he wants to go on the radio on WINX. But he said, I want to tell all of you right now, no nigger will ever go on this radio station. And I can promise you that for the next few years. And I just looked at him. I went outside and I said, that won't stop us, we'll do it. So they had then wholesalers who would buy time and just put whatever they want on the air. So I went to this white wholesaler and I said, look, I got sponsors. The station don't want, WINX don't want it on there. But if you buy a block of time and don't tell them what you're putting on, they just put it on. And I will come in at the last minute and they will know what to do. So we had these blocks of times. And we were supposed to get this segment on at 8 o'clock. God told me everything was cool. So we stayed outside in the car until about 7:45. And then I went into the studio. Dr. Mary McLeod Bethune, Dr. Charles Drew, blood plasma, and Josh Gibson had all three and walked into the studio and we started the show. Well, at that time, they couldn't stop it. And the thing took off so big, Roscoe, that, you know, it really was the beginning of the whole thing.
When did you start doing music? Disc jockey?
Well, even then, you know, we were dispersed with the interviews and the music on that thing. But the thing took off so big in Washington, I had to go to do a show in Annapolis every day and then Baltimore. So I used to do the swing around 18 hours a day. You know, the thing got so big. I guess the novelty of a black person and the kind of support that you do in being a sportscaster and all. But it gave me a chance to open doors and give a lot of other folks an opportunity too.
Now, when did you come to New York City? And when did you get to radio here?
I came to New York City. I was broadcasting on these stations. And Nathan Strauss, who owned WMCA and, you know, was working in the federal government with Roosevelt, said to me, you are terrific. I want you on my station in New York, WMCA. So I said, he said, I'm going to make a call, and if you're interested, we'll do it. Just like that. So here I am on WMCA in New York, one of the biggest stations then in New York City. And it just worked out beautifully, the publicity, the promotion. And while I'm there, 2 weeks later, WABC called and wanted to know from MCA, was it all right if I did a show on ABC? And MCA said they had no, objections. I was on 8 to 10. They wanted me on 12 midnight to 6 from Birdland. Charlie Parker, all these people were in person. You did the interviews and then they played live music. Nat King Cole, Charlie Parker was there, and Telly Savalas used to work for me. Kojak used to pull my records. But it was a tremendous experience.
Well, in addition to your work in radio, you're also the owner and the coach of the first black professional champions. I believe in 1939, the Renaissance team was the first one to win a championship. And then you put some of those players together in a group you call the Washington Bears.
Right.
And they had a tournament in Chicago Stadium, and your team won. Could you tell us a little about that?
It was interesting. Tarzan Cooper, who has played around, I used to bring these guys in every Sunday to play at a place called Turner's Arena, which we turned around because they weren't letting blacks downtown in Washington. Uline had an arena for ice hockey, etc. And while I wrote sports, I would go to the events, and I would never see any black people. So Uline would say, oh, no, we're not bigots. We just haven't gotten the thing. So anyway, Turner's, we played uptown. We played all of the teams of what was then the NBA, beat them all up. And finally, we represented the city of Washington. I was invited to come out to Chicago to talk on the radio about this team. Everybody's been hearing about beating up everybody. So they invited us to come to the tournament. We got on the train, went out there, got out there, I guess about 2 hours before the first game. We had to change and go in. Anyway, make a long story short, we won 4 straight games in the tournament. 25,000 people, biggest crowd in basketball history, was there for the finals when we won. And then we came back to to Washington. And the President Roosevelt, had us down at the White House and, gave us all these accolades. And then we played a game for infantile paralysis, which was the president's, real heartthrob thing that we were really thrilled to do. And Uline Arena opened up for us then. So again, it was the beginning. Always pioneering, sick of that.
Well, one of the things about the Washington Bears is practically all the players from the Washington Bears were from New York.
Right.
Pop Gates and
That's right.
Johnny Isaacs and Sonny Woods and Tarzan Cooper. How did you recruit them? Because you were just a young guy then running around on the radio. How did you recruit them?
Well, they knew me from sports. I was writing sports for the Afro-American newspaper. And then by then, I was doing this sportscast on, what was it?
WOL?
Yeah, was it the WOL?
You see, I'm from Washington, so I know all these stories.
Yeah, and it really developed. So with the basketball team and with the coming that we were able to open up a lot of doors and give a lot of people work.
Well, right now you do Sunday Morning Classic on WBLS FM every Sunday morning.
Right.
And it is the most listened to show on Sunday. And the heart of the show is that you play the records of yesteryear.
That's right.
You play some of the records of today, but most of the records of yesteryear. This is a question I'm sure somebody asked you. Of all of the songs that you have played, of all the records that you've played, what is your favorite?
Oh, gosh, that's kind of hard, isn't it?
It's kind of hard. You make some friends and enemies, but let's try it.
Boy, I'm telling you, it really...
Because remember, I'm a fan of Jimmy Lunsford, who played back in the 30s and 40s. And I've pushed you one time to find his record for Dancers Only.
Sure did.
And you finally found it.
Found it.
What are some of the other records that you really...
We've got Nat King Cole, who I have followed. Once you get to know a person like Nat, you learn to love him. And even though he passed away, I used to fight him about smoking, but we couldn't do too much there. And then people like Sarah Vaughan, these gifted people without any musical training. Someone like Sarah, who's been in a choir, and they all seem to come from it. Aretha came from the choirs, Aretha Franklin, and so does, so many of them.
What about Stevie Wonder? Did you have much to do with Stevie as he developed his career?
Barry Gordy called me the minute he signed Stevie.
He was 12 years old then.
Huh?
Stevie was about 12 years old when he signed
12. And Gordy and I had been all, very close. I used to go out there like once every 2 weeks and listen to the songs that he wanted to put out.
That's for Motown. Barry Gordy was the guy who owned and ran Motown.
And he told me about this young blind kid that he said, I can't even explain. You got to come out here and see him. And he was so playful. Stevie was really something. That's when he came up and would finger around with the fingertips. And then they put it on tour. And that was really the beginning of him jumping out there.
Well, Stevie used to be very good, in fact, he still is, with the harmonica. He did a number of numbers with the harmonica.
Yeah, he was just a gifted person.
Now, today's music, black music in particular, is the music of the world. And there are many genres of music. There are the cool jazz, the hot jazz, the rap, the pop and soul. How do you contrast today's music with the music of the 40s and 50s and maybe the 60s? Well, what's your opinion? Because you play the music of the 40s, 50s, and 60s, but you also know the music, because of your work at WBLS, of the 80s and 90s. How do you contrast those?
Well, what I tried to do, and I'm happy, as you said, the Sunday show is the most listened to show in the country. It's the highest rated Sunday show, and we're on 8 hours, and you can't even cut back because the people have a fit. Comparing the music, I always believe in reaching ahead. So you can take some of the new things and take the old. That's why I created the thing back to back with the music. You can take a Tina Turner, who now has a new song out from a movie, and you take that and you take and play something that Tina did maybe 20 years ago, 25 years ago, and comparatively. But what I try to do is to keep up to date with whatever's happening in the music world. So we use people who are modern and people who are there. There are many songs, Roscoe, that are being recut, that was cut back there. So if you play one by an older artist and one by the new artist, you give the listener a good comparison. So many people are young, they may not, did not relate to the older record.
And of course, the technology is so much better now. You get so much more realistic sound. But I listen to some of these reissues, these cuts of redoing an old song.
Yeah.
And sometimes they come across very well, but sometimes the person who cuts them doesn't really have the soul. They weren't in the environment. They can't get the picture.
They destroy the meat of it, and re-recording, they lose a lot. But I'm just grateful that the method is there, and we are able to hear so many. As you said, Jimmy Lunceford. I just think Jimmy Lunceford should be known by everybody. Count Basie. And you see, little by little, you don't hear as much. But now it's going back. Other radio stations are pushing it more and more.
Well, in terms of being a radio personality, you more or less got into this through serendipity. It sort of happened.
Yeah.
But now we have schools where people learn to play jazz, like the Berkeley School in Boston. We have schools where people learn to be on the media, like in Syracuse or NYU or UCLA. But yet, some of the people who become the personalities are people who just came from the streets, as it were. What are the skills, and how does one prepare?
Well, when I came along, there were no schools to help you, develop, even with addiction. And one thing I did, I'm very grateful that I was able to start a lot of people off and get them into radio. And I always tell them, work very hard. Forget about yourself, but try to articulate. Because, when I came along, they wanted the black disc jockey to be a comedian, Ogie Mo, and they would give him different names. And then they'd fire one and bring another one in and give him the same name. Like they had a show on RL called Dr. Jive. But they had 4 or 5 Dr. Jives. Tommy Small, they just figured 5. And we finally got across that, where we would try to present an intelligent, articulate person. And for a while, you know, the white owners of the stations didn't believe they were going to accept it, but we had to work hard with it.
Now, today, if some young person who might be watching the program decides that, well, look, I'd like to get into radio, I'd like to be a radio personality, I'd like to be a disc jockey and be an announcer, what advice would you give them?
Well, the first thing I would say is try to read aloud a lot. If you're not going to a radio school, and I don't think it's necessary, it's good, but learn to read aloud, learn to articulate well, and when you get a chance, if you're planning to be a disc jockey, a lot of newscasters, etc., there are many areas to go in. And, but if you plan it that way, try then to match your voice with some music. And in this day and time, it isn't hard to get a tape machine. So you need to play it back, play it back. But one thing they must do, Roscoe, is be very critical. Don't ever say to yourself, oh, I was good. Just say, I was pretty good. Now let me work a little harder. That's one thing I want to get over to the young people. Don't settle down and be satisfied that you've got this great voice God has given you and the world is waiting for it.
Of course, one of the things I know you really believe is that they should stay in school.
Absolutely.
Get an education, because you learn how to pronounce those words in school. You learn how to project and to understand in school. And the idea that people can just drop out of school and snap their fingers and become a radio personality, if it ever happened, it certainly won't happen now.
No.
We want people who are educated and have some background beyond just the background of the music.
That's the most important thing. Stay in school. Keep developing yourself. The radio thing and all of the others, there are more areas opening up. And with cable as strong as it is now, the opportunities are there. But you can prepare yourself first with your school. Don't drop out of school looking for this kind of career. You can pick it up from school and just work with it that way.
And of course, you said that many young people have tape recorders and VCRs. They can actually practice among themselves.
Actually. And that's the way to learn to develop. And I tell them all, read. Take the newspaper. Put, if you can get a tape recorder in front of you, good. Read articles in the newspaper. Read it out loud. And in Chicago today, the development of your voice and to articulate, if you don't have to go to a school this day and time. There are too many modern things out there to get a person started. I encourage them.
Now, in your career, as we were just talking, you have met so many famous and accomplished people. African Americans in the main, but some white Americans as well. What is your reaction to working with and knowing those people? You mentioned Nat Cole, for example. You mentioned Sarah Vaughan. People I know that you knew and knew well. What is your reaction? What are some of the recollections? How do you feel about having been in that particular place and time to be able to meet and possibly help them in their careers as well?
Yeah, you know, let's just take Nat King Cole for one. He was a very close friend, and I used to go a lot wherever he was going to appear. I used to fight him about those cigarettes, but he just stayed, you know, and that's what finally got to him. But you look at a guy like Nat Cole, and he had such class. And even after that experience in his hometown of, you know,
Birmingham, where they threw him off the stage.
They pulled him off the stage. He never lost the total dignity of what he represented. And as we mentioned, other people like Sarah Vaughan. These are people with the gift that you really could absorb and get close to. And I watch people like Count Basie. I knew Bill Basie real well. And Duke Ellington, you know. When Duke would come along and great trumpet players. I mean, he had trumpet players, sax players. And you look at today, that's why I hope the Ellington music and Basie music never get lost. It's not outdated.
Well, that's American classical music. I think in the 21st and the 22nd, 23rd century, they'll be playing Ellington and Basie.
That's right.
And that's really America's classical music. That's our contribution to the society at large.
Absolutely. And I just hope that everybody just keeps it alive. I mean, because we can learn so much from it. And it's just, they've got to feel with the music that they can relive those days.
The African American Legends, the program, is about people like yourselves, people who have accomplished something and have opened the doors for other folks. One of those people is Percy Sutton, who's been on this program, who was the founder and the principal owner of Inner City Broadcasting Company.
Right.
And tell me, how did you get to go with Percy to WBLS?
Well, I was with WLIB at the time, and Percy called me and said, you've been out here working all these years for other people. Why don't you, let's sit down, see if you can work for yourself. And I want to bring you in as the first person with Inner City Broadcasting. And he developed it. He found a guy who would sell him the station, and it was WLIB. And it was a daytime station. And I had been programming WLIB. So I said, Percy, this man has gone to the FCC and got an FM station on the basis, give me this station and I'm going to program it for the black people of Harlem. He had no intention of doing that. And the minute he got it, he started right off professional. It wasn't going to be no public service. So I said, well, I'll tell you what. I've been programming the station, and the interest is so high, that's when I would start, same thing I'm doing now. Put a little Aretha Franklin, put the Four Tops, put George Benson, come back with a word from Martin Luther King, just continue. And the audience kept building. So I said, buy it only if you get the option to take the FM. He said, what? I said, yeah. Tell Novick, because let me tell you, this is October. And if you take that AM, he's going to take that FM downtown, and you're going to be out of business because we're off there 5:30 one month, 5:15 the next month. And, I said, by then, he would have wiped all your listeners out. Tell him you won't buy the AM unless he lets you have the option for the FM. I said, then tell him we can't give him over $1 million. We didn't have 20 cents, really.
But then you, Percy, and a number of people became investors, and WBLS became the #1 radio station in New York City.
Right.
It's still a highly rated station, which raises a question about the competition between black-owned radio stations, not only in New York, but in Chicago and Dallas and other places, in competition with white-owned radio stations that try to play the same format. How is that going to work out? Because music is music. On the other hand, one of the things we believe is that by having black-owned stations, we might be able to develop our own music in a better way.
At this day and time, it's a very touchy situation. If you've known and followed, the FCC recently has opened the doors. The Republican administration has told them, do what you want to do. All right, there was a time you could only own 1 AM and 1 FM in each city. The FCC moved it up so you could own 24 around the country. Now, the new move is you can own more than 1 FM in a city. That is what the people who are competing with Inner City has done.
They call that a duopoly, owning 2 stations in the same.
Right. And now I understand they
can own more than 2. And so therefore they compete along several different formats, which makes it more difficult for the black-owned stations that may not have the resources to compete in those formats.
Well, see, Roscoe, that's the important thing at this time. We have an organization called NABOB, National Association of Black-Owned Broadcasters, and we meet and we all try to work things out. But you are not going to be able to compete against the bigger owners. And when I say
with the big
owners,
money,
that does not include most of the folks from NABOB. Well, even Inner City Broadcasting, we can't afford, with the competition from the other stations. See, they lock you in. You got one station that's copying part of your format. You got another one that's going to put in the music and,
the hip-hop and so on.
Everything. So with the 2 together, they're able to wipe you out. And that's what happened.
How are we going to fight back?
Well, the only thing I can say is you've got to work very hard with the loyalty of the black listener. We must get out into the community. We have to keep letting them know you're black owned and operated, because the competition is now doing a lot of public service, black public service. That's to mislead and let everybody think this is your black station.
Of course, the reason why you want them to know about your ownership is that hopefully the black-owned stations will project more the needs of the community, more the feelings. It isn't just because it's black as against white.
No.
And also because African Americans have made successes in this area.
Right.
And the purpose, as you are describing, is to reach out to the community and, as you say, and you do it every Sunday morning, play the music that appeals to people in the African American community, which we now find appeals to people across the board.
Absolutely. But once again, I have to support what you're saying about these stations. These duopolies are very, very dangerous and very bad for the African American radio station owner.
They may be bad for the population at large, which means one particular segment of a political or religious segment of the community may have all the airways. But of course, competition is the name of the game in the United States of America, and Hal Jackson has done a tremendous job in helping to lead this competition, and you should be very, very pleased about your career in radio, your career in sports, your career in management, and it's really been a pleasure for you to be with us on African American Legends today. You are truly a real legend. And we look forward to listening to Sunday Morning Classics for a lot of years.
All right, thank you. Been doing it, I've been broadcasting 57 years.
That is really wonderful. Thanks a lot, Hal.